I'm your greatest helper or heaviest burden. I will push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half of the things you do, you might as well turn over to me, and I will do them quickly and correctly. I'm easily managed. You must be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I'm the servant of great people and of laws, all failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I'm not a machine, though. I work the precision of a machine plus the intelligence of a person. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am habit.
Got challenges that you're going to run across.
Welcome to another episode of Elite Psyche. All right, so welcome to another episode of the Elite Psyche, the Mental Toughness Show. And on our shows, we have all kind of people that we interview, but mainly it's people who've had some success in life, people who have gone through these challenges, because anytime you have success, you got to go through this mental toughness thing, because life throws things at you all the time, and most people quit, most people give up, and so they don't go through that. They don't develop that elite psyche that we talk about, that a person needs to have success in this world. So today we have special guests, my guy, Mr. Nate Scott, down in Florida. He's down in Jacksonville, I think. And I'm gonna let Nate actually tell us a little bit about himself and what he's doing currently right now, and then we're gonna get into the conversation. So, floor is yours, Nate.
All right, great to see you, Tony.
All right.
So, Nate Scott here, originally from a small town outside of Savannah, Georgia. I grew up with the desire of playing college basketball. And when my basketball scholarship fell through, coming out of high school, I turned down my academic scholarships and enlisted in the Army. As soon as I got to my unit, I immediately enrolled in college courses, continued to play sports. And as a result of that, one of my professors, her husband was a West Pointer, and she knew my company commander. And they approached me about the idea of going to West Point. Well, I'll tell you, it was in that season of life that I was really all about Malcolm X. So I really didn't believe that the people were going to do anything. And so I decided I'm going to play the game. And so they continued to put paperwork in front of me. And lo and behold, I saw that there was a legitimate effort to help me to realize my greatest potential. Well, around that same time, I got the knock on the door saying that I had to be deployed to Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Found myself at 19 walking the perimeter during Operation Desert Storm. And I said, Lord, if you allow me to make it back, I'll never waste a day of my life. And that was a defining moment for me. When I got back from serving in combat, went on to West Point, graduated from there. And the week I graduated from West Point, got introduced to the world of personal growth and development and entrepreneurship via network marketing. And that forever changed my life. I was never drawn into the opportunity, but for me, it was the idea of picking up books and going to seminars and being around successful people. And so I tell people, take away my West Point degree, engineering sociology, my MBA from George Washington University, financial planning from Georgetown. When I learned to pick up books and go to seminars and be around successful people, that's what laid the foundation for everything else I went on to do in my life. I served as an infantry officer, ranger, and then from there, I transitioned out of the military, and I used some of that reading to my greatest advantage, because it was a 90-day window that I had to leave the military. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Cash Flow Quadrant, pulled a couple of concepts from those books. And in the 90-day window after reading them, I acquired over $1 million in assets in 90 days, which laid the foundation for my first million at 32. And I always share that story because many times people just don't understand the power of the book. And the fact that there's legitimate information oftentimes that's distilled by people that have had a good degree of success, that if we can apply just one thing, it can change our lives. And that's what happened for me. From that experience, I went on and worked in the civilian sector as a senior systems analyst, And I started getting knocks on the doors because of my financial success, and people wanted to manage my affairs, and they didn't know my background. They didn't know I was a West Pointer with an MBA in financial planning from Georgetown. They also didn't know I was actually looking for an advisor. You see, I value getting the input from those people around me, because in the military, I was a soldier first and foremost. And so I knew the value of delegation, and knew that when someone is in their particular role, it didn't matter about their rank or title. They still were experts in their particular space. And so I just valued being able to have smart people around me. But because of how they answered my questions, it made me wonder if they were just salespeople. Well, I was about to have my daughter, and my exit strategy was always to be that dad that was around. I ran my numbers. I saw that I was in a financial position to transition from the military, transition from what I was doing as a civilian, move to Jacksonville, Florida, sight unseen, to be financially free and to move near the water and get near Savannah, which is home for me. And then I took me into the financial services industry. And that's really where things brings me to today. Because as an advisor, what I saw within a week of being in the business was that my background and experiences didn't matter. It wasn't a job of making people money. It was a sales job. I had to have enough people saying I was a great guy. And so I rolled up my sleeve, threw myself in the community, and built a book of business. And from that experience, it opened up the opportunity to do what I do today, which is I'm an executive and business coach, focusing on helping people plan, prepare, and respond to life disruptions such as unemployment, market volatility, retirement, and other life disruptions such as divorce. Those things that may cause one to have to avoid or overcome financial hardship, because that's really what I see us really facing. And so to that end, I'm just delighted to be able to be a person of value and service. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do together.
All right. So y'all see, we got his name and how to reach him on the interview. So y'all need to reach out to him. And then at the end, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can actually reach Nate. But let's get back to West Point and, well, really basketball. So you were that disappointed that you just said, forget college, I'm going to the Army, I'm going to the military, because you said you wanted to have a basketball career and that didn't work out. And you said you kind of just left all the other academic scholarships you had and went right to the military.
I was in the Army.
Oh, it was the Army. Okay. All right.
And actually, Tony, no, it wasn't actually disappointing. What happened was I used that as an alternate route. You see, what I saw was, though I didn't get the basketball scholarships, I went into the military to continue to work on my game, get my size up, travel and see the world. But my game plan was to just continue to work on the game. That's why I turned down the academic scholarships. I just saw it as another route to getting to my goal. In fact, I bring that up oftentimes about when you have a goal, you don't have to change it. You can take another route if, in fact, that's really what you want. And so that's why I went into the military.
Okay. So now, normally, before there's a war, you kind of hear about things happening like a year before or something like that. So you wasn't thinking about, once I joined, we might be going to war?
No, I had no consideration. In fact, when I got that call, that's when it really became real, when I realized really what my job was. Most of the time we're in a peace army, peace military. So
you just like, hey, I'm just gonna go in, practice my game, get my weight up, and all of that, and boom, it's a war.
Yeah. And then all those things that we practiced and trained on became real.
My uncle,
and also in that experience, it was like, well, now we're going to get a chance to do our job.
Yeah.
We went up through all this training, but we never did anything. So that was also the opportunity to.
My uncle used to say all the time, he was in Vietnam, and he said that, doing the training before they knew they was going, everybody was kind of playing around for 3, 6, 7 months. And he said one day they were outside doing some kind of drill, and this helicopter landed, and this particular 5-star something got off the helicopter and started walking toward them. And he said everybody that was playing stopped, and we knew when he shows up that we going to war. Because they didn't think they were going. They just think, so when he came, he said it was like you can hear a pin drop. And whatever this guy said, they was listening for, because they knew that they can actually die if they don't do the right thing. But up to that point, they just having a good time because they didn't think they were going. At least that division didn't think they were going to Vietnam. He said that was a shock, and you could hear a pin drop when they stepped up. He's like, now people want to listen. He said before that, they was talking about it, but there wasn't nobody listening because they didn't think they were going. So when you first touched down, what was the most shocking thing that happened that you can remember at 19 years old? Because I still don't believe 19-year-olds need to be going to war, but because what age do you drink? 21? Or was it 18 now?
I don't know.
I
don't even know.
Yeah.
I think it's 21. 21.
But did you ever hear that song by Paul Hardcastle saying the average age of the Vietnam veteran, the average age of the guy in the army was 19. The song was called 19. And he talked about it. It was like you need to check that out when we get off. It's called 19.
In 1965, Vietnam seemed like just another foreign war, but it wasn't. It was different in many ways, and so were those who did the fighting. In World War II, the average age of the combat soldier was 26. In Vietnam, he was 19. In Vietnam, he was 19.
And he breaks down how he would say that, it's a lot of other things that these kids couldn't do because they were that young, but they sent them to war.
Right.
I can't even imagine. Well, I know when you get there, you're going to have to get serious about it. And but just thinking at 19, I don't know. What did you see anything that you thinking that when you landed, you got there, or during the time you were there that you said, I don't know why I did.
No. The bottom line is that the mental shift took place really quickly. Before deployment, I had to be prepared mentally before I got there. So it wasn't going to be anything that surprised me. Right. It was just the reality of being in the situation. And one of the things that always sticks in my mind that I oftentimes speak about is just driving through the oil fields and actually smelling the effects of combat. I just put it like that. So,
wow. So, West Point, that was not on your mind. You weren't thinking about going to West Point.
I had a disdain for West Point officers. I had no intentions of going. In fact, when I got the opportunity, I had no intention of going. I got accepted into the prep school, which was a 10-month program. I looked at that as an opportunity to get back stateside, to get back into the academic frame of mind and to play basketball on the junior college level.
Okay. And
then from there, it would allow me to finish up my last year of service. And I was looking at having an ROTC scholarship, having my GI Bill college fund, and having the appointment. And then on February 26, 1992, I wrote out a Benjamin Franklin T and wrote out pros and cons. And that's what made me that's when I made the decision to actually go. When I had all three options, I then made the decision to go because I looked long term and said this would have the greatest bang for my buck, if you will.
What part of the country is West Point? Where is it?
New York.
Upstate, like Rochester.
Nah, it's West Point, New York. It's on the Hudson River.
Oh, okay. This is his own little city almost.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Poughkeepsie area. You talking about Poughkeepsie and all
I
that?
Got you. Yeah, I got you. Yeah. So give me three things that you learned at West Point that that's valuable to you now that you're using in life?
Number one, a cadet will not lie, cheat, nor steal, nor tolerate those who do. Number two, 4 responses. Yes, sir. No, sir. No excuse, sir. Sir, I do not understand. In fact, that right there is a game changer, because a typical person, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is some type of reason or explanation or alibi.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, an excuse.
Right.
And when you're in the world that I come from as an infantry officer, ranger, we don't have time to. The question is being asked. I just need to answer so I can then make the next decision. So leadership wise, I just need to be able to make the next decision, and I just need to know.
Don't matter what the reason is. You just didn't do it.
Yeah, I need to know so I can turn.
Right.
And so that right there is it. And then the other number 3 is choosing to do the harder right over the easier wrong. Harder right over the easier wrong. That's about character. That's about making decisions. That's about, stepping up when it'd be easy to walk away or to turn your back or to avoid.
So that had to be very interesting when you got there, because, saying that you're a Malcolm X guy and then you go there. I mean, you had to be really prepared to deal with probably something that so right away you fit right in. You didn't have any problems. They didn't tell you that you stepping out of line.
No, in fact, Tony, I went there again. I was a combat veteran. I was older. I've got a disposition about myself. I've come to realize that people don't. There's some type of aura that comes off me that doesn't cause people kind of general are aware of who I am. Okay. And so to that end, posture wise, very respectful, very sharp. A standard is a standard. My stuff was tight. Mm-hmm. So to that end, it was nothing to get to try to get at me about. And also, because I had the experience, I wasn't going to put up with BS. I mean, right. I played the game to an extent, but I wasn't one that was going to be a pushover. And that came through very clear. Mm-hmm. And so because I had my stuff together, because I walked that walk, because I was sharp, I was really setting the standard for people that had never been in the military. You realize these are kids coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. That's the majority of West Point. And so to that end, it played out well, because I graduated as a regimental commander. There's a brigade of 4,000 cadets, 1,000 per regiment. So my disposition, which was shaped by Malcolm X, just because of my what I call my the disposition that I had, it wasn't nothing that was offensive. It was just the fact that I just knew who I was. And that was an awakening that I had at 18, because I never knew about Malcolm X. I mean, I grew up in Georgia, and the only thing we hear about is Martin Luther King. Yeah. But when I picked up the autobiography of Malcolm X, that forever changed my life.
Right. Yeah. Look, I always say this. I just said it yesterday in an interview that, and you might have heard of another one, or you might have listened to another one, but I put Malcolm in the front of any speaker. I think he is the best speaker I've ever heard in my lifetime. Now you might say you've ran across anybody else. What do you say about that? Who would you say? Because the way he controlled the audience, man, it was like.
Yeah, because he wasn't a rah-rah guy. He just was very articulate, very, very matter of fact, very controlled, very rhythmic. Just I enjoy listening to him.
Yeah,
I love
to this day. You go to YouTube. You go to YouTube and listen to him. Yeah. And the thing is, and the reason that he was my guy is because, again, I went into a deep study of Malcolm X, and so that meant I got a chance to really understand the transition that he made. I understood, and what I appreciated about it was when he got new information, he made a shift because he got new information. He was one way because of how he was, what he was exposed to. But then when he took that trip to Mecca and that exposed him to something else, well, he made that shift.
And that's the wholeness of him that I find that I really took away from him, that causes me to really have a great appreciation for who he is.
He was very well read also. You can tell that this guy, and I'm sure in prison, he read a lot, learned a lot of new words. I heard him talk about that at one time, that when he kind of, changed his thought process, that he started getting serious about, what he was going to change to and what he was going to do. And you could tell that, this guy had put some work in. It wasn't like he just, flipped and that was it. He had to put some work in to become him instead of Detroit Red.
Right.
He had to do that. So
I think that the environment, again, him being a part of the Nation of Islam, did that for him. He had an environment, and regardless of what,
that was discipline.
That's right. I was going to say, regardless of the negative pieces, the fact of the matter, it was an environment that provided structure, that provided a standard that in turn people were raised up to. Just was more than just that but he was just more than just that environment. And that's the part, is that he got that and can't take away the good from that experience, but he continues to evolve.
The time you was at West Point, how many brothers was there? And was it a boot camp? Like, do you go through that at West Point, or what is it called when you first get there?
Yeah, when you first get there, it's called Beast Barracks.
Okay.
And that's just really the initial time for all the incoming freshmen, and to get indoctrinated, to get the haircuts, to get the clothing, to get learn how to march, learn how to respond, culture shock, a lot of screaming like a boot camp, but it's the indoctrination period.
Okay. And so it's a 4-year process that you have to go through.
4-year.
But how many brothers was there?
I don't remember the number, but we were very small population. I mean, men and women, absolutely less than 100. I can't remember.
Okay.
But we had a class of 1,000, brigade of 4,000, so probably 10%.
Okay.
One of the things where it's a situation where when we saw each other across the yard, if you will, we were happy to see each other.
I know what you're saying.
Or we had the issues where they would tell us to break it up, meaning we want to huddle together, and they'd say break it up. And so those are some of the type of experiences race-wise that I had. We go in the cafeteria.
I was about to say that.
Table of 10, and we want to have 10 of us sit together, and somebody might come and try to get us to break it up. And it's funny because we look around and say, well, do you
y'all sitting together?
Every other
everybody else in here sitting together while we can't.
Right.
We're a threat though. They like what they talking about, what they might do. You know what I'm saying? So
but I'll tell you, this year, man, I think we got about this year and about 4 on the docket. We're about to have our 15th general officer from my class.
Really? From your class?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're about to have the 15th, and they used to call me general there. So again, I got out, and I was again rare. I'm not. I was a regiment commander, which again that was pretty significant because again being a black man and then holding that particular role. I was infantry, which a lot of times that's not the space we're in. Infantry officer, ranger, and but I made a decision that I would get out prior to ever going, because I knew that if I ever had a family, because of my experience in combat at 19 and seeing the adults, the older people, and how that, the things that they have to deal with having a family, I was career by day. I mean, I was locked in, full-fledged, fast tracker, but I knew that if I had a family or a relationship, I wouldn't stay in because I didn't want to have my mind split. I didn't want to be in a situation where if I was going to be about my job. If I had family, I wasn't going to try to have that both because I didn't want to be thinking about them or them thinking about me.
So graduation, was it 4 years later?
Yeah.
Okay. When you graduated, 96. Okay. What was your next move?
Infantry officer, Brant. I was commissioned officer, graduated, got my degree in engineering and sociology, and was preparing to go to my officer basic course and Ranger school and all the other things, preparing to get to my unit, which was my first unit was going to be in Korea. So I graduated in June and was about a year later, went off to my first duty station, which was Korea.
Okay. And how long were you in Korea?
Korea was a 1-year tour. And at that time, I made the decision that I was going to be getting out because I got into a relationship. And then I made the transition to the old guard at Arlington National Cemetery.
What do you remember the most about Korea?
I remember the food and the fact that I can get anything made, clothing wise.
Clothing wise, yeah. Wow. Really? I heard that they out on the streets, they can even stop you and say, let me make something for you and do that. Did you did that, or was it somebody?
Yeah, but it didn't get made on the street, but yeah, I took the orders on the street and then in turn,
right. I mean, yeah. My partner told me that they would be outside their shop where they sew and just, you know how you hand out flyers or whatever and say, we can make something for you.
That's right.
There. Oh, wow.
You bring pictures and, all that stuff.
Wow.
Shoes, jackets, clothes, suits. I actually got my our wedding stuff was made there.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Got a special jacket made, custom jacket made, and had a couple custom blazers and all that stuff.
They would do that in a day or two like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was, like I said, that's the type of stuff I'd love to go back over. Like I said, it was great. Yeah. Just an experience, man. Just culture, living in a different place. Again, I was in Germany as an enlisted soldier, so I love Germany, and that was fun. I was in Germany when they had won the World Cup, and partying in the streets and going to McDonald's and getting beer. I mean, it was cool. Yeah.
I think the guys now who measure, I was going to say Taylor, but the guys who measured, they still sending stuff over to Korea and they get it back. I know that's what they doing. A lot of guys, all they doing is measuring. They not creating. They not creating. They send it right over to Korea and get it. It's almost like they're the middle person. They just know how to do the tape.
Wow.
And, but a lot of that stopped during COVID. I mean, big time. I mean, it was like them guys had to change and do something else. And I don't think they ever came back to, because a lot of people doing more casual now, but they still can do, you still can do custom jackets and, maybe even custom jeans or something. But I noticed that ended quickly with COVID, but a lot of things ended with COVID. You know what I'm saying? Everything. What was your biggest challenge during COVID that you had to deal with?
Honestly, I can't think of them because, my lifestyle, and my wife and I talk about this, is that, number one, we're together 24/7.
Right.
We're self-contained. I mean, we do business online.
Right.
we're already walking and doing all our lifestyle.
Nothing changed. Except putting your mask on when you go in the grocery store or something like that. That was it. But besides that, I would say the same thing. I would, stuff is online, man. Everything. I think a lot of stuff even grew faster online because it was, but I think now though, man, I really honestly think, and this is just my opinion, I actually just posted that today or yesterday. Let me make sure I read it so I won't give my own bad quote. Let me see. I posted it maybe last night. Let's see. Oh yeah. Spending more time online means we are spending less time together in person. My opinion is that that's not a good thing. And I'm thinking, I'm talking about business wise. I'm talking about, teaching people. It's nothing like gathering. It's nothing like that. They can get the the feeling from you, you get the feeling from them, and you get attention at least. You know, they might be on the phone, but when you're online, you know, which we have to do now, and I'm doing it, but I believe that we have to get back eventually to doing some kind of gathering, because I don't think we can really move people the way that we need to move them in any kind of business unless we need a need right in front of them. For they can, because I was to say, when you hear a speaker, you hear a teacher, try to be down close up front so you can feel their heartbeat. You can feel the words that they're saying. It's not like, you know, how they deliver the words and how they feeling when they do it. Because I have people call me sometimes, well, Tony, tell me exactly what to say. Okay. I said, but that ain't gonna do it, because you're not gonna say it the way I said it. I can give you the words to say, here you go. But if you don't have that same energy, that same spirit when you saying it, and I think you really get that when you gather with people. What's your opinion on that?
Agreed. In fact, I've been throwing myself intentionally, and I even probably said as recent as yesterday, is that I've got to continue to get out, because there's a whole different outcome when people come into my space. So like I went to a couple of networking events this week, and I mean, every time I'm in a room and I have the opportunity to introduce myself, I mean, it leads into people coming to me and us having some real conversations and being able to follow up in any particular manner. But hands down, I've got to start speaking one to many. I've got to do that and being more intentional about it, because that's where I have my greatest impact. In fact, the other side of it that I have my greatest impact is anytime someone's engaging me in something real where I'm just answering questions or I'm just addressing things, because the authenticity comes through. And I can't turn that stuff off. And so I appreciate the use of video, but hands down, being in front of people, it does it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your book. What's in the chapters of your book?
Yeah, well, Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth is a principle-centered, biblically based leadership program focused on personal growth and entrepreneurship. Every chapter begins with scripture, but then I say, so what? How do you take God's word and apply it on a daily basis? I address the cash flow danger that no one is talking about. The fact that 77 million baby boomers are retiring and facing a cash flow danger, that 66 out of 100 people age 65 earn less than $30,000 of retirement, that 47% of people say if they had a $400 emergency, they'd have to sell something or borrow money to address it, and 68% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. But it's about how to think versus what to think. Every chapter begins with scripture, but then I say, so what? How do you take God's word and apply it on a daily basis? I cover leadership as the answer, the cash flow danger, it happened to me, become an entrepreneur, choosing the right entity, raising capital, asset protection, protecting your financial privacy, reducing your taxes, retirement planning, residual income retirement planning, estate planning, and life is rich. Life is rich means I live in fullness every day because I realize I am Christ's heir. Live in fullness every day. Life, realize I'm Christ's heir, is rich. And so page 29, Tony, timing wise, it's real crazy, man. I said, an even bigger issue is that most people don't have a level of income to fund their plan. The good news is if you're reading this information in 2013, you have at least 10 years left. The bad news is that most people will wait too long to take action. The purpose of this book is to empower you with practical information to positively turn your financial world upside down. Once you understand the concepts, everything will change for you because you'll be mentally prepared to survive and to thrive. My goal is to prepare you to respond just as I train my soldiers to respond to unseen dangers on the battlefield. This is very personal to me. I see myself in them and I relive my journey. 2013, 10 years, 2023. Talk to me. Think about 2023 and how that, what took place in 2023.
Wow. You said it. Wow. We call you Nostradamus.
Listen, man, when I saw that, because again, I didn't remember it.
Right.
But I was just going through and reading and I'm like, whoa. And I started looking at stuff over again. I'm like, that's what's caused me to lean in now to say, I've got to now come out and address what I'm seeing in the reports. And one of the things is American families need $11,434 to meet their bare essentials based on 2021. Well, heck, Tony, to get 3,000 additional as an employee, if you get a 3% pay raise, you got to have a base salary of 100,000.
Right.
6,000, you need a base salary of 200,000. 9,000, you got a base salary of 300,000. To get $12,000, you got to have a base salary of $400,000.
You know, what's interesting is that you go out on social media, you hear people, and I understand inflation, so I understand that. But people say, "Well, your $100,000 ain't nothing now." Compared to inflation and what it spends, it doesn't spend like it spent 10, 15 years ago. But how many people making 100 grand still? You know what I'm saying? So to say that's nothing, and you don't even have a lot of people making it, what are you implying then? You know, I just think that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, once again, it shows a further divide between the haves and the have-nots.
Nuts.
I mean, this is very, very real. But you know what? People are quietly suffering.
Mm-hmm.
People are not talking about these numbers. What I just now went through as far as what a raise really means, and how small it is, most people have never considered those numbers. So
and they don't want to. They're just like this. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear this. And when you talk to people about this topic or additional income, you know, they just because they have been trained to do things a certain way in that box. And when they're in that box, they figure only other way I can make money is go get a master's degree or PhD. Can't do that. Or they go UPS, Delta, FedEx part-time or something like that. But they don't think outside of that box. They don't think doing something like a home-based business. They don't think about doing anything like that. And it's almost, when I talk to people, they'll say something like, well, never seen the righteous forsaken or a seed begging bread. Like, okay. Okay, well, come down here on well, you can go to a lot of streets in Atlanta, but you go down there and you can't tell me though, you tell me them people out there, they weren't righteous. You can't tell me. You could interview some of them people and they'll tell you they're righteous, that they believe in the Lord. And so they put on blinders, Nate. They don't want to hear that. And I think it's because they haven't been trained for years to know what to do. And they just feel like even if you come with the answer, I don't know if I can do that.
Right. Because once again, you're right. It's first one has to become aware. And then from there, the way I approach it is I use a Socratic method of teaching. So that means I'm really engaging and bringing answers out of a person as opposed to talking at. I'm more of the person that's going to try to bring a person up to their own head nod. So they actually say, I can't deny that. And then once it's shared, then it's from the vantage point. I said, okay, well, now let's consider what your options are. Right. But the way that I'm really teaching now is saying, because the problem I see with all these layoffs is people that are going out and looking for a job. I started to really communicate how they are now salespeople. That person that's unemployed is now in the business of sales. They're selling themselves and what they have to offer. And the process that they've got to go through is the process that one has to go to in building a business. Number one, they got to make a list. So that list that they're making is that list of all the job openings and on Indeed. They're now sorting through and trying to identify who they're going to call on. Number two, they got to reach out. Well, the reach out in the job search is applying. The reach outs in business is just that, it's reaching out. Number three is the setting appointments. Well, in the job search, you hope that someone's going to give you an interview, which is the appointment, but you don't have no control over that. In the business side, you're reaching out to ask for the appointment. Number four is the presentation, where you're hoping that you get an interview. That's the opportunity for you to have a presentation. On the business side, you're asking for the appointment so you can present what it is that you have to offer. Number five is the follow-up. On the job search, you better write a handwritten thank you note. On the business side, this is the part where people fall through the cracks, is that you got to follow up, but you got to understand from the front that 2% of yeses happen on the first touch, 3 on the second, 5 on the third, 10 on the fourth, but 80% of your yeses happen on the 5th through the 12th touch.
Mhm.
And then number 6, on the job search, you hope you get an offer. Well, you don't control that. On the business side, you hope that you can open a relationship. I don't say close, I say open, because that's really where things begin. And so I've been teaching that, and I'm looking to be more intentional about just having a hot mic and have people talk to me so I can just really have the people on the sideline just kind of eavesdrop, because nobody's bringing this perspective. The other thing I'm telling people is that as an entrepreneur, I don't go into business to hire people. That's not my motivation. My motivation is profit.
Right.
So when I hire people, I'm hiring you for the purpose of helping me to generate profit. And so you're telling me about your situation and what you think you should be getting and how much you should be. Listen, you and everybody else. So so it's literally like reality. So I say, well, now if you unemployed now, and you thought from the beginning that the job was security, but you got a layoff, you should now know that the job is not secure. So how is you going to tell me that the thing that you only thinking about is getting another job, whereas I'm trying to tell you, look full-time on your job, but work part-time on your fortune. While you're making your job search, treat it like it's an 8-hour day job, but put aside 2 hours per day, 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month to actually create something on your own and allow that to be able to provide you a hedge against the market. Because what are you going to do? Just kind of just wait till your savings run out? Because that's what I'm hearing people do.
For some reason, they just feel like, well, the only thing they know, again, is to go try to get another job. They don't, it's almost, you know, because we talk about a lot of this conditioning from the age 0 to like 7, 8, 9 is where you really get conditioned. That's the theta phase in your life. And so what you hear from your parents, from your friends in the neighborhood, from your pastors and everything, that thing locks in. It grips. It's holding a grip on us, and people don't even really know that they are operating like a robot from the thoughts they heard years back. They don't, even when you come with a fresh thought to tell them that this makes sense, a lot of them are still hold. I got a lady, I know a lady 10, 12 years ago that worked at Clark College. She was a professor over there, and they downsized or they fired her at Clark. And that was the second time she was at another college. So she calls me and says, Tony, because she was in a business with me, and she said, I really want to work this business because I don't want to get caught in that situation again. I don't. So for the next 2 or 3 months, we put time in working the business. She was growing. Everything was going good. She gets the call from Clark again to come back. She goes back, drops everything that she was doing, just completely drops it. I mean, she was getting some traction. She was growing. Went right back over there. And I didn't talk to her, but I heard, you know, the next year they did it again. So that's why I said, why do we keep doing that? And it's a thought process that's ingrained in us, and we don't really know it's there. Because even when we hear stuff like what you say, everybody should just say, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think, but you know what? It's like an abusive relationship. These are things that I've had over the last couple of weeks. I'm awakening because I've been doing a lot of talking about this. And that's something that I started to say as well. It's like an abusive relationship. It's like you got the person that's in this relationship, they're getting beat up, but they want to go back.
Go right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane, man. That is really insane. If we take your book, let's say I got your book. I got a 25-year-old sitting here. It don't have to be 20, anybody. And I hand them that book and I tell them this hypothetical. You got 10 minutes to read that book. What chapter should they go to?
13.
Why?
Because 13 says, unfortunately, part of being human is to see if you can do the least amount and somehow get the most. We live in a culture that seems to be based on instant gratification, which is a surefire formula for failure in every aspect of your life. The problem is that none of us can see ourselves swing. We're all too often unconscious of what we're doing to sabotage our lives. I believe the higher you want to go and the more success you desire in any endeavor, the greater the likelihood is that you will need a mentor or a personal coach. A sniper is a highly trained soldier who specializes in shooting targets with the modified rifles from incredibly long distances. They're also adept in stealth, camouflage, infiltration, observation techniques. A sniper team consists of a sniper and a spotter. The two-man team offers many advantages over the lone sniper in the field. The spotter carries a special scope that is much more powerful than the scope on the sniper rifle. The spotter uses a scope to help the sniper observe objectives and set up the shot. The two soldiers work together to get to the objective safely and discreetly and then set up a position. I want you to think about the last statement and think about who in your life is watching you swing. Who is your coach, your mentor? More importantly, is a person qualified to guide you where you want to go? Has a person been there and done that? My experience is that most people don't have someone to guide them and who will tell them the truth. The reason is because telling the truth can be risky. People tend to get their feelings hurt. Everyone is busy protecting the relationship, and the reality is that the relationship is often superficial or fake to begin with. My mask being in relationship with your mask. It just doesn't work very well. The problem with this scenario is this: you can't change a lie.
Wait a minute. I remember highlighting that when I read it, and I wish I had my book. We're gonna come back and do another straight through the book on the podcast. But go ahead, man. But I remember highlighting it. My mask is, what do you say? My mask is
in relation to your relationship with your mask.
Yeah. We both, yeah.
Yeah. I said it just doesn't work very well.
Right.
The problem with this scenario is this: you can't change the lie. You can't change what you aren't aware of or conscious of. And most of us are unaware of what we're doing or thinking that is producing the results in our lives.
That truth telling, man, that truth telling is something people don't want to hear. And I've had ladies tell me that, and I stopped doing it about 5 years ago. I'm glad that you're still doing it. But she came to me and asked me to tell her the truth. I said, no, I'm not. Yeah, you tell me I can do it. As soon as I told her, she started crying. I'm like, Nate, I mean, I asked you that. Then she told her husband. Then he called me. And I'm like, after that, I'm like, I'm not talking to nobody like that because I'm not about to get into it with the husband. But nobody really wants to hear that truth because, see, when you tell the truth, they call you negative. I'm like, that ain't negative. It's just the truth. Here it is, right here in front of you. And friends, like I always say, your friends ain't gonna tell you. You need a mentor. That's what you're talking about. You need a mentor or coach, because the mentor and coach is trying to give you the information. They don't care how you feel about them.
That's right.
They just care that you move and grow.
That's right.
You know, but your friends, they're gonna tell you anything. Oh, he don't listen to him because blah,
and
blah, blah.
Because they got a vested stake in it because of the relationship, meaning that they got to make sure that they can maintain the relationship. But Tony, what's interesting is that they, in service, Ephesians 4 speaks about the different talents and gifts. And what I learned today about myself is that I'm a prophet. My responsibility is I am wired. That's my propensity to call out what I see. And that's just one of that is my gift. That's what it is that I have. Some people are people that are, they can see broader picture stuff. So they're pastoral, meaning that they can see things and they're not the ones in the details, but they can see the bigger picture. But like I said, from a prophet standpoint, is that I'm just speaking what I see clearly. There's no emotions tied. It's like I can see, and it comes off sometimes as being negative because I am pointing out the things that they don't really want to hear. And they don't really want to hear because nobody else has really told them that. Right. Don't have the ability to see it. And so therefore it's like, well, why are you bringing nobody else said? I'm just telling what I see. I'm not looking for it. I'm just it's like jumping out to me.
Right.
Yeah. So I got that awakening today.
Okay. So we're gonna have to do another one, pretty soon, and we're just gonna break down the book, each chapter, and kind of talk about it so we can actually show people what they really need to get that book and understand that book, because you go in detail a lot. And again, sometimes detail for people, you know, it's like you almost have to lock them in a room and feed it to them over and over and over. You know how they talk about terrorists, or, you know, when they lock up terrorists, they turn the music up loud and just blast it for 24 hours. You know, somebody need to lock some people up and just turn up your book or something. You know, do you have audio in your book? You don't have?
Yeah,
audio?
in fact, I'm glad you asked that. I've got a few of the chapters that I call the key the chapters that I'm okay with someone listening to.
Okay.
But my book is not a read-through book. My book is a guide. It's meant to be something for you to mark up, and that you can go to the specific chapter, as opposed to thinking that you got to read through it. So I do have audio for like chapter 1, chapter 3, chapter 13, the chapters that I say, okay, I don't want you to miss this. Right. So, but other chapters, things about choosing the right entity, retirement planning, raising capital, those are not things for you just kind of, you know, say, I listened to that book, I read that book. No, this is something for you to take the time to say, okay, this is what I need to do when I'm talking to that CPA. This is what I need to do to talk to the attorney. And that's why I wrote it. I wrote it to make it a resource so you can be prepared to talk to the people that you call are professionals. Mm-hmm. That's how you leverage the book. So it's a life. Okay. I call it a legacy book. It's a book that's meant to be a book for your family to pass down, because, you know, you can go and look at estate planning. You can start to say, okay, I need to make sure this piece is in order. I wrote it as a financial professional, someone that has that background, that is trying to ensure that people know what the bankers and brokers don't tell them.
Mm-hmm. What kind of advice would you give 22-year-old right out of college, maybe have a good job, you know, like 100 grand, 150? What kind of advice would you give them on finances?
Number one thing is not what you make, it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. Recognize that if you have a $67,000 salary, which is the average household income, you're paying about $14,000 of that in taxes. So that's going to take you down to 53 net. Well, the average household expenses are $65,000. So if you got $53,000 as a take-home pay and you're paying out $65,000, that means you're working 40 hours per week, 50 weeks per year, taking 2 weeks paid vacation to go in the hole $12,000. So the first thing I'll tell you is that there are two different tax systems. There's a tax system for the employee and a tax system for the entrepreneur. The tax system for the employee is meant to drive taxation. The tax system for the entrepreneur is meant to drive economy. So every W-2 employee that does not have a home-based business, my number one recommendation is establish a home-based business so that you can have the opportunity to go forth, pursue making a profit, and consequently have a way to convert your ordinary expenses into tax deductions.
Right. I had a tax preparer say that people think that a lot of wealthy people start businesses to make a lot of money. He said a lot of wealthy people start business to save a lot of money. So they understand that that's and it's legal. It's not like, you know, we're trying to create something that ain't there, you know, try to make start a business, and whether you making money or not, what the goal is to make money. But if you don't, you know, the law says you must attempt. So long as you're attempting to do something, you still can get those write-ups. So
yeah, it's three things. Yeah, and you hit it, Tony, because most people don't give that information. See, many people use these things as hooks, but they don't have the knowledge behind it. They're not actually understanding what's required. And it's really simple, though. The IRS requires three things. Number one, you got to have an intent to earn a profit. Number two, you got to do something on a consistent and ongoing basis. So let's call it 3 to 5 days a week, 45 minutes per day. And number three, you got to track your time, your money, activity. And so that's how simple it is for one to be in a position to convert ordinary expenses into business deductions.
Okay. All right. So let's wrap it up with if somebody were to walk up on you on the streets and they say, "Hey, Nate, I got your book, man. I read your book, and it's a great book. And what do you think I should do next after reading your book?"
What you should do next is book a strategy set. Well, you should ask yourself, do you feel like you have the potential and the capacity to be more than you've been thus far in your life? What's your goal? Mm-hmm. And based upon that, I'm going to invite them to get a complimentary strategy session so that I can in turn see what their thoughts are about where they are today versus where they want to be, so I can identify the gap. And then from there, find out whether or not they want to do something about it. Because I'm looking for those opportunities where I can be the who for people. I look for opportunities to be able to see where my background connected to someone else's desire can help us both to win.
Mm-hmm. Where would they go to book this strategy session with you?
Just go to www.lifeisrichglobal.com/coaching. Again, lifeisrichglobal.com/coaching will take you to the specifics of how to book the strategy session, as well as a strategy session prep form, and also an opportunity to download some other things. But anywhere on the website can eventually get you in contact, but that's the direct route to lifeisrichglobal.com/coaching.
Okay. A couple of fun questions I want to ask you before we wrap it up. Who's the GOAT? MJ or LeBron?
LeBron.
Oh, God. Hey, cut that. Cut it. So tell me why you say that.
40,000 points.
Okay. That's it? That's the answer?
Man, I don't need to go into all other stuff any day. At the end of the day, I mean, he came in with the pressure and he's won. The fact is he's won consistently. In fact, I saw a stat today saying that to put the 40,000 in perspective, a person would have to have a 20-year career, 67-game season, and average 30 points per year to be able to get to 40,000. A 20-year career, 67 games played, averaging 30 points for 20 years to do what LeBron just now closed out.
Well, he played. This is coming up on 5 years more than Michael Jordan. So,
okay.
Hey, you should have those points if you play 5 years.
Well, yes, but it's not just his points. I mean, again, his consistency through and through. I mean, I remember seeing another one of these debates where people were talking about these two. And just so you know, my guy was Magic Johnson. So
mine too. I just say that, but we go through those two. Magic has always been my guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's my guy. So, but when I look at this other thing I saw was talking about, how many times Jordan was swept, and all the times everyone's talking about Jordan, but not understanding the significance of Scottie Pippen and what that particular complement the relationship was to allowing Jordan to be who Jordan is. And so,
and Phil Jackson.
And
Phil Jackson.
Yeah. And so, but when you're talking about LeBron, you're talking about, again, from all the he's been true since he's been in high school, and all the things that have been bestowed upon him, he's carried it. And
when he came in the league, he really ain't had nobody to coach him like Phil Jackson anyway, period. He never, so.
Right. He's always been the guy.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing is, and he's never been a selfish player. He's not trying to score that much. That's not his game. He's a Magic Johnson guy.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah.
And then the defense, like last night, man, they showed highlights of the block, another chase down block last night, man. It was like, so.
Yeah, but they keep, I'm gonna tell you something. They keep showing them chase downs and those jumpers like that. You know what they say now? Rings. Them chase downs and jumpers don't mean nothing until you get that other ring. And that's what I hate that though, Nate, to be honest with you. I hate that society has gone to that. And that comes from all these ESPN guys and all the podcasts they got out that's talking about you got to get a ring. It turned me off so bad that it's like, if that's the case, why even watch the season? Or why you just should go get a ring? So when they show him shooting the jumper and the layup, it's like at the end of the year, man, a chase down block. If you don't have that.
Well, but what you're talking about, though, is the standard that is placed upon winners.
Right.
His average, I checked today. I just happened to look today to see what his game was last night. He did 26, 9, and 7 last night against Jokic. They lost. He got his 40,000. But then I looked to see what his average was for the season. He's at 25 and like 7 and 7. And compared to his lifetime, I mean, the consistency, man. That right there is what I'm talking about. And so how does a chase down, and how does that translate into winning championships?
Right.
Well, he's leading and he's doing the thing that other people on his team can look at and see that he's not letting off. So him not winning is not going to be based upon him not doing what he's doing. So
this you think the Lakers have a chance this year to win?
Yeah.
The ring?
Yeah. The reason they got a chance because all they got to do is get in. See, when they get in, they get in.
You're talking about that kind of chance. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm saying is anytime you have him and they continue to make these moves around, they're a winning team. And all it takes is, game by game. And everybody hasn't gone through that thing of winning. Everybody hasn't gone through the situation where they have. And so what it really is going to depend on is matchups. It's going to depend on whose bracket do people end up in. That's going to really be the differentiator.
Yeah, I got you. But what about all the juicing he doing?
Who?
The juicing he doing.
Man, that's a lie. Everybody trying, all the haters. Everybody want to try to find. It's like these different things be popping up and talking all different things about LeBron. They need to stop.
Hey man, to sit there and watch him in the fourth quarter do what he did, man, he got to be on something, man. He can't. How old is he?
$1 million on his training. He put that money into that.
He's sleeping in them hyperbaric chambers.
Sleeping 8 to 12 hours a day.
All right, 2 more. In your lifetime, well, not even in your lifetime, who is the best running back you ever seen in the NFL?
See, I grew up a Tony Dorsett guy. So,
okay.
But when I think about running back, man, I mean, I love watching James. He's played for the Rams.
Oh yeah. What about Barry Sanders?
I didn't really watch Barry Sanders.
Okay. Right.
Barry Sanders was not somebody that I really watched. Emmitt Smith. I'm trying to.
You got to give me somebody. Give me a person that you. Because I'm gonna give you mine. I
said Tony Dorsett.
Okay, Tony Dorsett. Mine is OJ. Man, if anybody ever go back and just watch footage of OJ Simpson, the moves that he was doing, Barry Sanders did. But OJ had the speed. OJ had, he was a track star at USC. OJ was, I still hadn't seen how he reversed the field and do something that I still got to have him number 1. Now I put Barry second. Dorsett, I like Dorsett, but I just hadn't seen somebody as big as OJ and how he used to carry that ball, man, how he used to reverse the field. He was like a running back that had the moves of Gale Sayers. Gale Sayers was, I don't see nobody running them punch back like Gale Sayers used to do. So, all right, last one. Your best band that you ever heard. I mean, the GOAT in bands, like music bands, like.
I'm amazed Frankie Beverly.
Okay, that's good.
I love they show. I always, because I can, like I said, literally I can sit there and listen to him through and through.
Yeah, for the longest. He's been doing it for a long. I heard he retiring, man. He be barely walking up there on stage. He be like doing that Joe Biden. So, but he's retiring this year, I heard. So, but my favorite band of all time is Earth, Wind, and Fire, and it's kind of hard, but they have so many hits. You know? Yeah. It can be debated. There was a lot of like Chicago, the band Chicago, they was huge, and so, but Frankie was and he a down to earth brother. I mean, I had a partner of mine. He had limo service in Birmingham, and Frankie performed in Birmingham maybe about 15 years ago. And my partner was the limo driver. So he said he picked Frankie up that morning. The whole band had left. Frankie was still there, and he was taking him to the airport. And Frankie asked him, said, "What's a good place to eat?" And he said, "Name a couple of places." Frankie said, "Your wife at home?" He said, "Yeah." "Tell her to turn that oven on. I'm coming. Let's go over there." He said he went home. And his wife cooked the homemade breakfast for him, pancakes and eggs and biscuits. Said Frankie took his shoes off.
Wow.
Eating over there. He said, "Man, we had a great time, man, for about at least a couple of hours eating breakfast at our house." And he said he's so down to earth, you know, just a real brother. You know,
Nice.
So all right, so we leaving everybody today. It's been a great episode. What you want to say that I didn't ask you as we wrap it up, or something you want to say to the people?
You know, I'll leave your listening audience with something that I think would be impactful, and that's page 5 of my book, Daily Habits Done Daily Build Character. I'm your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper or heaviest burden. I will push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Half of the things you do, you might as well turn over to me, and I will do them quickly and correctly. I'm easily managed. You must be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I'm the servant of great people and of laws, of failures as well. Those who are great, I have made great. Those who are failures, I have made failures. I'm not a machine, though. I work the precision of a machine plus the intelligence of a person. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am habit. My name is Nate Scott. Life is Rich, How to Create Lasting Wealth.
And I'm 7 habits.
There you go.
And we out of here. Thank you. And don't forget to subscribe, like, do all that stuff. Man, the numbers are growing. I want to get to 12. I want to get to 10,000 in the next 30 days. That'll be 12 months for us, our first year. So let's make it happen. Thank you again, Nate. All right.
Thank you.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the all button and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have a lot of good interviews on this podcast.
Say it's okay. You are worth more than gold.